So we would like to start the session. Please put the presentation material on the screen. We are from the IMART Executive Committee, and today we will be talking about the change in the environment surrounding manga and anime industry, which has been depicted by the spread of COVID-19. So we will be using the next 75 minutes or so to discuss on this topic. So this is the agenda that we will be covering today. It will be composed of 3 sections. First, in the first section, on this stage, we will be referring to the topic that I just mentioned, but we would also be talking about the second IMART 2021. We just announced today that this event will be hosted. And we would also like to talk about the phenomenon around Kimetsu no Yaiba, and also the outlook for manga and anime industry post-COVID-19. And after that, we will be talking about the VR exhibition. We will have a guest speaker, Phio, online, and Phio will be making the presentation. And then in the last part, with Phio, we will be discussing on the topic of a real event after COVID-19. We will be talking about the Doujin, the Indies exhibition, Le Comique, and also the movie festivals. We will also have guest speaker Mr. Doi online as well. So that will be the 3 sections that we will be covering today. So first, we have the 3 guest speakers and also 1 who are participating online. And these are the 4 members hosting the IMART 2021. I would like to introduce the members. Let me start. I am in the middle. I am the representative of Manga Night Rainbow Bird. I am in charge of the manga business, and I am engaged in many different activities. Last year, at the IMART, I served as the director of the event. And this time, I'm the co-chair with Mr. Doi to excite this event. So, Mr. Kikuchi, please. Yes, I'm from Manga part. My name is Kikuchi. So should I look into the camera? Yes. So nice to meet you. At IMART, I am planning and casting the event for manga. And there is a Tokiwaso project which is supporting the manga artist, and also Kyoto International Manga Fair is something that I hoped to launch. So we are supporting the creators for manga and also helping to host events for manga. And Mr. Sudo? My name is Tadashi Sudo. Last year, I served as the advisor for the anime-related programs. My profession is a journalist, or I am a writer. I write about the anime, but not about the art of my anime. I talk about the environment surrounding anime. So anime and manga is a culture, academic, and economy. There's no event to talk about manga. So for movies, we have the Tokyo Movie Festival, and we do not have such event for manga, and that's how this event was launched to fulfill that purpose. So I will have Mr. Doi introduce himself later, so let's move on. Also, I'm sure that many of you are wondering what is IMART. As Mr. Sudo mentioned, at IMART last year, the East Asian Cultural City 2019, the Toshima World hosted this event, and IMART was part of that. Last year, there was the manga area, which was promoted as art. And myself and Doi, Mr. Doi, carried out many programs. And IMAT was something that united everything. And as Mr. Sudo mentioned earlier, for manga anime industry, there's no event connecting the industry and culture, and also an integrated event for manga and anime. So such a borderless event has not been hosted. But manga has a very high market share globally, and anime has been appreciated from the global audience. And with more digitalization, I think there's going to be a paradigm shift for both manga and anime. And we believe that not relying on a particular private company, but having this kind of public event is suitable, and that's why last year this was hosted. So last year it was borderless and also cross-sectoral. So culture and art were covered, and also the cutting-edge initiatives were announced. And about a year ago, so November 15th of last year to the 17th of November, at the facility in Toshima World, this event was hosted. And a wide array of guests were invited. There were 24 sessions, and 80 key people came, and innovators came for this event. Roughly 2,000 people visited this, and 92% said that they were satisfied, and 93% that they wanted to come back next year. So thanks to the two advisors, we invited them to join the executive committee. So this is going to be the second year of hosting IMART. Today, in hosting, we are announcing to host the IMART 2021. It was just released. IMART 2021 will be hosted. And we will be talking about how COVID-19 is impacting the manga anime industry and how this is going to change in the future, and how this applies to Japan as well as the global market. So next year in 2021, from February 26th to 7th, this event will be hosted. The sponsor will be the IMART Executive Committee, and it will be co-sponsored with Toshima World. And from this time, with this organization, crowdfunding site has been opened today to get support for advance tickets. And we just made an announcement that the guest has already been announced with this URL. The keynote speech will be, there will be two keynote speeches, one of which will be from Polygon Pictures. The CEO, Mr. Shuzo Shiota, will be invited to deliver a keynote speech. Can you talk about Mr. Shiota? Well, I guess the audience here have a tech background, so Polygon Pictures probably is the most famous CG company in Japan, and they are active and having a global reach. So from a global perspective, Mr. Shiota, the CEO, will be delivering a keynote speech. Thank you. So just about 30 minutes ago, this crowdfunding site has been opened. So please have a look, and also look at the list of the guest speakers to extend your support. Next page, please. So in the first section, the three speakers will be talking about the outlook for the manga and anime industry after COVID-19, starting with Kimetsu no Yaiba. First, looking at the manga anime industry pre-COVID-19 and after COVID-19, from the industry point of view, Mr. Kikuchi and Sudo-san, can we get some comments from the two of you? Maybe starting with Kikuchi-san? Sure. Well, from the business perspective, okay. So right now with COVID-19, many industries are facing challenges. However, the publishers creating manga are enjoying a high time. The publishers without manga content are facing difficulties, but recently, when I talk with many people from the publisher, with COVID-19, e-books are driving the sales of different contents. What they are doing is creating the content and also putting commercials on video to promote people to read online. So those are their main activities, is what they have been telling me.
And in this situation, during the summer last year, in Shueisha publisher earned 120 billion sales and 20 billion profit. So the highest profit been recorded by them. And why? Because of Kimetsu no Yaiba, Demon Slayer, contributing to the success of Shueisha publisher. So the paper-based manga was not selling very well, would not be able to reach. So there has been a trend like that. Well, 100 million issue being reached in terms of accumulated number of volume being sold. And so when it comes to the contents, there are many mixed views, but when it comes to manga, Kimetsu no Yaiba is leading this industry. And so as of today, that is the situation. So what is happening to anime? Hare-ame kumori. So if you watch the forecast, it's maybe cloudy, if it's a sunny, cloudy, or rainy. And so some speculate that it's not busy, but when it comes to the CG anime, it's something that can be addressed using remote technologies, and industry made effort. So there has been some delay some time ago, but when it comes to production, I think it is going well. The actual filming of the physical, the actress features film is lagging behind. But May, June was a difficult month for them, but I think it is picking up when it comes to the speed of production or creation. And so there's a good place and not good place. So distribution is doing good. And so the number of subscription and the distribution is increasing. But before that, I'd like to talk about the assumptions. Anime industry in the past, DVD or Blu-ray were the profit drivers, but they're not selling anymore. And they find out the two exit points. So first is the distribution and distributing contents to recover what's been invested. So visuals are there, but event, music, or a collaborative cafe, those peripheral business to lead a profit. So there's two options the industry could resort to. But due to the COVID-19, well, distribution option is doing well, very good. But anime relevant stakeholders who organize a live event, they are having difficult times. So live event directs to the publisher, but the distribution is something to do with the distribution platform. Well, what about those companies who does the distribution? But the impact may be felt many years down the road, not immediately. So maybe they're struggling a little bit. And so exhibitions or event is something that I'm involved. And so original copy display using featuring manga is something that I also involved. And so the local municipalities and the local museum is also featuring in manga and in the past, but they are afraid that having this kind of event may trigger the widespread infections of COVID. And so they shifted some focus to good sales and so on, partially, so there has been some movement. So I forgot to talk about the Kimetsu no Yaiba, so maybe we could talk about that later. We can focus on industry first. I'll still have 15 minutes to go. So, learning. Well, the manga can be utilized in a learning environment is something that I do as well. And so the many people are staying at home, so there's a demand, the time spent at home. So as children, they are staying home more than ever due to the COVID. And so for the manga world, it is good for me, and educational manga is something that can address this kind of demand. Kikuchi-san, do you have something to say? And so encyclopedias or the cooking books, and those are selling well. Those are paper-based books because people spend more time at home. So that's some of the impact we felt from COVID-19. And so Tokyo Sensei Star is something that I have also involved. And theme park close to Tokyo, that was also needs to close because of the COVID-19. So that is also the negative impact come from COVID. And so those places are appealing. The crowd or the live event is having difficulties. So what we tend to forget is good sales. It is much to do with the live events, and goods are sold actively at live event venue. So since we don't have those events, and so the good sales slow down. So that's also giving industry a hard time. And Comitia also something to do with this trend. However, there is the online sales, and so online sales itself is doing well, but it's not like that events first takes place and that encourage people to purchase or new product development starts. And so since we don't have a major events being organized, so there's fewer opportunities to sell goods. So even online shops, and what they have done in the past is to organize large event, but they cannot do so any longer. Overseas, what the biggest headache is that if the event is cancelled for a year or two, and the people will assume to resume that 3 years down the road or so on. But those organizers who organize a manga or anime event, if they do not have like an event to be organized a year or two, and that organizer themselves will be gone. They cannot wait for that many years. And so crowdfunding, and so it's helpful. And how do you survive in this difficult situation in terms of raising fund? So phenomena of the Kimetsu no Yaiba is evident in manga world, or the theater, movies, and comic, and there are many pathways. And I'm sure that you talk about this quite often. And so, first of all, I'd like to start. And so, if you look at the movie, so the manga version is very strong in wording. And so, when it comes to the movie, the storyline is quite strong. So, character of the title, the strength of the storyline as well as the word or speech is very vivid if you look at the movie, and that is attractive to many viewers. And for the past 20 years or 25 years, And those age time period dramas featuring the samurai world is decreasing. And so this is something appealing to a wider generation, it's not just young, but also the old as well. Samurai featured film. And so a big hit of manga. Well, the one before is the Giant, Shingeki no Kyojin, 2014, and Dragon Ball, and Akira. And so major hit is reflecting the what's going on in society. So in hindsight, that was the case for both titles. So when the Shingeki no Kyojin was a major hit, and there was a time the people were suffering from recession because of the Lehman Brothers failure. So the society itself was in a gloomy mood, and there's no way out. So that's why the people started to produce scary titles. And so what's with this Kimetsu no Yaiba? And so many people analyze this. And so there's a Manga Shimbun, this is a review site of manga that I was operating till last year. And I received many feedback from many different people. And what impressed me, or memorable, is that the protagonist, Tanjiro, I think he's a very standout in terms of the character. Tanjiro, protagonist, praise himself or acknowledge what he's done. So the effort he made, he appreciates himself, and many people support him, but he encouraged him for what he's done. So there are many scenes featuring that behavior. Naruto and other titles, and the protagonist have a very complex character. But Tanjiro is quite positive about who he is. And so that is a reflection of the society, putting aside the COVID-19 pandemic. As I said, well, there's a Lehman Brothers failure in Kimetsu, and so it was society was gloomy, but the stock price was going up.
So it felt like I think in the from the latter part of 2010, people were striving to live their lives. But this character Tanjiro is self-encouraging himself, and I think that's kind of up to the current trend, and I thought that was interesting. And also, this is like a mainstream character. He starts as a weak character initially, but then he develops himself and he gets stronger. So he gets encouragement, relationship with his friends. And a lot of the expressions are very trendy. So that's my analysis. So on a related note, looking at the timing of the blockbuster, Shingeki no Kyojin was very successful after the Great Japan earthquake, and with Kimetsu, with COVID-19, with the major earthquake, the disaster happened at one point, and the society was trying to recover. There was a strong analogy to the manga, because this was a community of made where peace was protected by the wall. But with COVID-19, it's a seamless connection from one point to another. So this ideal character is something that's desired by the audience, the viewers. How would you analyze the anime? So I get this question, why do you think this is a successful blockbuster? My first question is, I don't know why. I think a normal blockbuster can be explained, but this huge blockbuster is something difficult to explain. And I think the content itself was great, that's for sure. But how about the other anime and manga? Are they not wonderful? Obviously, there are a lot of contents that are as great as Kimetsu. So for one, the quality was good, but also the marketing was very good. And I think it's also a matter of timing. We had the COVID-19, and when it hit the theater, there were no movies from Western world and no major movie from the Japanese movie industry. So it was ultimately easy for Kimetsu to attract a lot of audiences to come to the theater. So I think that's one point that cannot be dismissed. So what I'm interested to see is how this is going to develop going forward. Because from anime and the manga industry, I think Kimetsu is a great story because there are a lot of characters, and also there are a lot of iconic characters with which the industry can make a lot of merchandises. So it's not just a successful hit of the manga or anime, but it really ignites the excitement in the peripheral industry, which is something that many people are appreciating. On the other hand, so as an extension of that, looking at the trend of the last 5 years in the movie industry, Kimi no Na wa, Your Name are great contents. And I think there were successful contents which were better than expected. Kimetsu is one example, but given that it's really successful with the revenue, I think this may be partly impacted by social media. I am not sure, but looking at Ghibli or the director Hosoda and also Shinkai, there are a lot of big blockbusters, but the movie the story content is completed within just one movie, and it's difficult to get the audience to come to the theater to watch the content, which is a follow-up to the manga. And there were also other movies that were successful because of social media, but I don't know if the social media is proper enough to trigger such blockbuster. Well, looking at the social media, things like Twitter, it has a concept of everyone. So if 5 people that you trust are tweeting that this is good, I think you are inclined to feel that the content is good. So I think that is the power of social media. So that was partly the reason for the success. And also, after the TV program and also manga, doing a series in anime, I think was challenging. Were there any precedents before this? I think it's quite rare. That's true. And I think the popularity among the kids is another reason. The kindergarten kids are playing Kimetsu no Yaiba, so they feel this peer pressure. The friends know about this anime or manga, so the other kids thought that this is a content that they must see. Yes, so I talked with my friend, and his kid said that even if the kid was not watching Kimetsu no Yaiba, the kid wanted something of Kimetsu no Yaiba as a Christmas present. So this is like a national phenomenon. And is the paper print selling well because of the kids' purchase? Because I think if you get older, a lot of kids will read online. But I heard that the paper version sold well because the kids were buying. That's right. And I think with ebooks, it's difficult to share. So if the family are to share a comic book, they would buy the paper prints. So I think that's something that drives a huge sales. And Shingeki no Kyojin is something that the adult will not really recommend to kids. So I think that's one difference between Kimetsu and Shingeki no Kyojin. Yes, and the original comic was completed after the 23rd version. And I think the author had his thoughts. And for a very passionate fan, they thought it was right. for that story to end with that episode. And I think many people expected the story to end with that episode as well. That's true. And we're seeing a lot of phenomena in the market. And the online manga is really increasing its presence in the market in the last few years. The mainstream manga like Jump and those publishers are creating huge hits. And I think that's one big factor that we have to recognize in the manga industry. Kimetsu is great in terms of profit, and when I talk to people in Shueisha, they say that this is a special demand and it's going to subside, so they cannot just rely on the single content. So they create other contents like a Spy Family and other potential future kits. So it feels that it's almost intentional when they try to launch the next potential hit. Also, for both of the anime, I think they've invested a lot, and also I think they will precisely time it right, so that launch will be successful. I remembered that one of the reasons for the hit was the distribution. And this is a new anime. So this is anime broadcast at late at night, so it will not reach the kids. But probably, I think Hulu or Netflix, Amazon, they would want this as an exclusive content by paying a huge amount. But I searched this, and this is distributed over 20 websites. So this was not exclusive. They dismissed that path, and they wanted to reach a greater audience. And I think that's another reason why it reached the children's customer segment. So there are a lot more that we can talk about, but I would like to move on to the next section. I would like to hand over to Mr. Kikuchi for the next section. So we will be talking about a lot of the powerful topics. I will be facilitating from the next session. So the physical events, particularly for manga and anime, that's what we would like to cover today. One interesting idea is virtual market. The Doujin or the Indies exhibition virtually. So we have a guest speaker, Phio, what they're doing on the virtual market. So can we connect to Phio, please?
So this is not a demonstration. The Phio-san is on the large screen. You can hear him now. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone.
ごめんなさいね、今ちょっとコントローラーの電池切って体が動かない状態
And so I won't be able to move the body of this character because of the controller problem. So Phio-san, I don't know his real name. I work with him, but I don't know his real name. So VR character. Should I use that term to introduce you? Yes. So living creature in the virtual world. And so I think his character is in adjustment phase. So dwarf is the group this character belongs to. So content is the beautiful middle-aged man with a wife and children. So my body is into pieces and being displayed on a big screen. So it's reset. So now I'm fine. So this is like a typical distribution of content. So Phio-san, so virtual market. And Doujin exhibition himself is the area of his expertise. Yes, this is Phio speaking.
ポカーンって感じですけど。
ポカーンって感じですか。
そうです。
はい。
これね、
So everyone is in surprise state. So this character is living in a virtual world.
VR チャットという
So this is a VR chat application being used. So a virtual market venue called Phio is where he is. It's copied after Tokyo Station building, Parallel Tokyo. So small version of Tokyo. So that's the surrounding and Tokyo Tower and Mori building is what you see. Big site, convention center is there, Sky Tower is also there. And so you can view from different angles so that everyone will know. VCAT 5 introduction film is something that I would like to play now. VCAT 5, which was announced recently. So that was the introduction of the VCAT 5. So Virtual Market 5. So this is the 5th virtual market should be organizing, yes. So what is a virtual market? As it was explained a little bit earlier, so in the virtual world, mostly 3D models like this. And so the clothes or the 3D model avatar or subarm or hat or costume or weapons and characters' hairstyle, hair, clothes, accessories or houses are on sale. It's a collection of many different things. Creators bring all this together and offer. And so this is an exhibition and sales. So market festival in a virtual world. We have this organized twice per year. 2018 August was the first of such virtual market being organized. So each time we grew bigger and second, third, fourth been organized in the past. So starting from the 19th of December to 10th of January, Virtual Market 5 will be open. Thank you. So what made you decide to start this virtual market? Well, originally, my background, well, I started to being active as the character of Phio is much to do with this. So I suffered from depression for many years. And I was a business owner previously as well. But depression was quite grave, and also I had developed a fear of dealing with people at the same time. So going outside of the house and talking to people while looking at the people's face, or taking the train or transportation is something that was impossible for me. And so I realized it will be difficult for me to become an active member of a society. And I was wondering what to do. But a VTuber became a hit back then. And the VTuber and the VR become very popular at the same times. And device was affordable and accessible. So creating country in a VR world was the Mrs. Stromer, the famous person in the VR industry. Is that the person who brought the concept of VR to Japan. So he was saying this. I read his book, and creating country in a VR world. And I thought I could live in that country. So if it's the VR world, I have a choice to work in a VR environment. So that's what made me to start doing this. So going out to the real world was impossible back then, and even now, I would think it would be impossible. And so virtual world was something I encountered in that situation. And selling avatar, a kind of culture started to be born. So accelerating that phenomena and creating economic block in the virtual world, inviting companies and creators and fund into this virtual world. And so the real world and working in the virtual world to feed the physical body, well, I hope that those two worlds can coexist. That's why we decided to pursue this. Hikky. So, Phio, you belongs to a company called Hikky. Yes. But I forgot to self-introduce. Hikky Corporation, and I am CVO and a representative director and chief virtual marketing officer of a company called Hikky. In Ebisu, we do have an office. I'm staying home. So it has been 2.5 since we launched this company, but maybe I have gone to this office only 3 times in total.
Also, I've only been to my office twice. Also, there are less and less employees who know my face. Also, at the Hikky, just like you feel, there are many people who are working as if they are working at a virtual office. That's right. Also, salespeople and those who need to go outside will come to the office, and also the administrative people will also come to the office. But with COVID-19, most of the people are working remotely from home. So events are virtual. The participants are VR characters, and the hosts are working at a virtual space. So that's very futuristic. With the virtual market, we have Virtual Market 5. There are 100 employees who are engaged in this project. But they only know how they look on the virtual space and on their name on the virtual space. So they don't know where they live, or their real name, or the background prior to this job. So everything is virtual. But this virtual market is creating through a virtual approach. So this embraces a lot of diversity, in fact. Wow. So people call you Phio, right? Yes. Well, that's very unique as well. So people call me Phio-chan. So can I call you Phio-chan then? Of course. Because I am a girl. Real me is a middle-aged man, but virtually I'm a girl. So you have to create that character. That's right. So another theme that we'd like to discuss today is a virtual market. It's still avatars and such. But the indies exhibition, like Komike, it's like the Doujin exhibition. I think you did the comic VCAT, which is similar to the Doujin exhibition. So I was involved in those events too. Let's have a look at the video. Okay, roll on the video.
あ、本当だ。
なんですけど、ですね、突版印刷さんが運営するコミックバイケット公式ショップ。これはですね、自分のイラストやデザインをマグカップとか T シャツとか、あとはクッション、トートバッグにすることができるというもので。
めちゃめちゃいいじゃん。
And this is presented by Toppan Printing.
このインフォを押すんです。押すとそのページに飛ぶんで、はい。
So you click here and then you jump
そ
to
こか
that
ら詳
page
しく見ていただけるようになっています。
and you can get access to more details. Wow, this is fun.
はい、というわけでご紹介でした。
So that was a quick look of Comic VCAT. So you're doing this indies exhibition at a place like Akihabara. That's right. What triggered me to do this is that, oh, actually I have a wife and children. So my wife is the artist for the indies contents. And I think around February, people started to talk about COVID-19 and a lot of the events were being canceled. And there were no way for her to publish her book and the contents. And she said, so you're doing a virtual job. Can you do something with this on the virtual space? So she asked me that question and I thought, sure, I think we can do that. For the creators, the venue to present their content is really important. So venue like Komike and also at the Doujin exhibition, there are a lot of events. And because there's an opportunity for the artists to present their contents, they're motivated to create the contents, and they can exert their creativity to try to meet the deadline. So the contents will be published, and they feel happy in seeing the actual deliverable. So with a lot of events being cancelled, the motivation was lost and the contents will not be delivered to the market. And I thought this would be unfortunate for the market. So I was in that indies market myself, as I was creating those indies contents myself. So I thought, why not to put together a comic and the music? So comic and music VCATs were planned together and it was held in the summer. I see. So I think we are now ready to move on to the next session. So let's move on. So Comic VCAT was hosted, sponsored by Virtual Market. So Phio, thank you for all the inputs. So Phio is going to stay. So let's invite a new member to move on to the next session. So what's going to happen to the screen?
あ、土井さん聞こえた。土井さん今ね、声が
Doi-san, thank you. We can just hear your voice. Hi, this is Doi. Sorry for being late. Hello, hello. Hello, nice to meet you. Hi, this is Phio. Nice to meet you all.
というわけでこのまま進行続けますけども、
So let's move
今度は
on.
IMART の4人目の幹部
Also, we have the fourth executive from IMART, Mr. Doi.
別のイベントリアルで出てたんですけど、
He was at another physical event until now, so he just got connected to join our event. He's very busy. He's got another schedule after this. Yes, so I will be working until midnight today. Also, can you give a quick introduction in just 30 seconds? Yes, my name is Doi, and I have a virtual background. And I'm the director for the animation festival, and I work at New Care to buy and distribute the global anime. I also write and I also give lectures to introduce the global animation scenes. Today, I probably look very busy, but I'm at this movie festival. So we decided to do a physical event as well as the online event. So I am now at the Shibuya Parko at a studio to take 4 contents for online broadcasting. And I think I am in this really good position to talk about your topic today. So I want to talk about the real event after COVID-19 and the outlook for the movie festivals and also the Indies exhibition.
今日はひとまずその漫画関連、
Also, first the manga and anime related
それぞれテ
contents.
ーマに基づいて現状どんな風になってるのっていう話とか、今回
Let's talk about the status quo. We talked about VCAT.
説明させていただいて、最後ですね、これから
And at the end, we also would like to talk about the outlook for the industry.
説明をさせていただければと思っております。で、最初がですね、漫画関係
So first, starting with the manga contents,
即売会ですね、コミケとか
the Comic and other Indies exhibition and the sales. Let me talk about that.
2020年はですね、なんと
In
いっても
2020,
コミケ
Comic
がですね、夏冬中止に
in both the summer and the winter were cancelled.
年末に行われた
And the previous one, at the end of last year,
76万
there were 760,000 visitors,
作品を提出出展
and there were 32,000 people who contributed the contents, and there were 2,000 people who donated their blood. Also, times 2 were totally cancelled. So what about that? Maybe your question. But for those artists making the Indies contents, they make tremendous efforts to make the contents to meet the deadline to provide their contents. So the deadline for 64,000 people were lost. So they stopped writing. So when the events were cancelled, the artists are not motivated to write. So that was a direct impact. For example, Anime Japan is the official event for manga and anime. It's the largest event, but this was also cancelled. So that's the event in spring, and in fall, then there is another event called the Kyomafu, which is about 1/3 the scale, but it was half of what the size would be normally. When Japan was under the state of emergency, the Indies-related events were totally cancelled. And in fall, some have resumed.
And the Comic Weekend organized by Phio was organized in August in this situation, so it brought about a large impact. Yes. And 4 million was the number of the visitors, 100,000. And so everyone was focusing on that. So the Comic was no longer viable. So Air Comic was the what they were talking about. So they encouraged each other. And so there are many new services heard about. Comitia. the large event. And every time, well, they have 4 times per year being organized, and each time there was 20,000 people or 30,000 people have been participated, but the organizer didn't have enough of fund, and so the crowdfunding was done, and 130 million being raised through crowdfunding. NeoKit is Pixiv. Well, is this the virtual? I don't know, but there's this sales and exhibition, the event online is going to be organized in January. That was announced the other day. And Komike also announced that they're going to have this event to take place in May next year. I can talk more about this later. So manga and the exhibition and sales events, the current situation is like this. Doi-san. So the film festival, let's talk about the current state of film festival. And so I'm a member of IMART, and I have a role of communicating about the situation overseas. So I like to focus on what's happening outside of Japan. So, and real event in animation, there are many fun-focused events. But event like a film festival for the professionals, if you take a look at the situation after February, and physically organizing event is very difficult to be done, as you can see from this list. Annecy, this is the one of the largest, world largest anime event, went online this year. And film festival in Europe and the US, it's very difficult to conduct in real. So the contents are mostly film. So it's quite adaptable to the online platform. So using online and titles of film being shared. So by the time in September, and so the number of new cases of COVID declined a little bit in Europe. And so small-scale events being organized locally in Europe in some cases. However, the basics is like they're going online. They may have a locally organized physical event, but very small. And Sapporo and Hokkaido in Japan are in a very difficult situation. And so online platform is something that they resort to maintain the reasonable size of this kind of festival. And the pros and cons of online event. Well, I'll see it from the spectator's point of view, and also I also enter my work, so I see it from the author's point of view. I'm also involved in organizing such events, so I can see it from the organizer's point of view. When it comes to online events, the benefits are, well, you don't have to go to the place. And so if it's Annecy, you have to go there. But Annecy offer all these entered titles to be offered and to be viewed online, everything. And so you don't have to go to the place to see. So that's the benefit of online event. And authors, well, talking about their work, being a part of the talk event is still one of the things that could do, because it's easy to join that kind of talk online. And so the film festival is for the core fan base. So by going online, Netflix will be the direct competition, or Amazon could be a direct competition. So limited online distribution platform is the what they are now enter into. So for those who haven't been to this kind of event, can also have access to this. So that's the benefit from the operator's point of view. But the negatives are the overall, it's difficult to engage in communication. So participating in the film festival is like creating the human networks, and also the opportunity to travel and to go to those destinations. But from the author's point of view. And entering their title is one thing, but and if their titles are or the works is accepted, they'll be invited and they'll be able to go to places. And there's a support for the travel cost and accommodation, but there's no such things when it comes to online platform. And also, it makes it very difficult for the authors to decline the offer to be a part of a talk or discussion. And so there's no fringe benefit, but there's a mandatory things that you need to do. So on the organizer's point of view, and if they have to go online partially, meaning that that their work is going to be double. And so I also serve as a judge, but it's difficult to engage in discussion. So it's impossible to conduct a reasonable discussion. So communication and line connectivity is something that we have difficulties. And so we start to think about what is the significance of having this kind of a event. So film festival is organized for what purpose and for what kind of people. And so if you go online, all these things is now being wiped out. And so the authors, it takes years to complete the titles of the work. And not being physically there, meaning that they can establish the human relationships or networks, and so they get worried about what will happen after completing their work. And so Phio-san, so in this situation, as you have mentioned earlier, and there's a comic VCAT, and there was a music VCAT organized in August. August was the month the COVID-19 was still going strong. So what is the reaction of the participants? So VCAT 4 was organized during the Golden Week vacation here in Japan. So that was in the middle of the first wave of COVID-19. It was right after state of emergency was issued by the government. So in this environment, sales representatives exchange views with the exhibitors. Or there is some impact due to the COVID-19, but well, there's almost no impact, negative impact to event organizing of the event. 1,200 circle or participants, 720,000 visitors being recorded. Without any hiccups, we were able to organize this. So if it's a virtual world, this kind of huge festival type of event can be organized. This is a track record that we have established during the Golden Week vacation. It was featured, and so some TV station also featured this phenomenon. So although the COVID-19 is going strong, in the virtual world, this kind of a large event being organized. So it was a very good response that you got, yes. As Doi-san said earlier, which was very interesting, anywhere in the world, well, anyone can join when it comes to a virtual event. So virtual market is the same. Virtual market is the same, and the comic VCAT is also the same. In the virtual world, well, the market festival, exhibition and sales event, and exhibitors and participants, there's no limitation in terms of the place or space. So if there are a large event to be take place in Tokyo, and you have to send a big box to Tokyo in advance, and you have to take bullet train to get to Tokyo, and you have to book hotels and so on. And so most of the participants come from nearby metropolitan Tokyo area. So if it's a comic VCAT or virtual market, so if you look at the profile, background of the exhibitors or the participants. There's no particular tendency in terms of geological locations, or it's same as the distribution of the Japanese population. So that was a very interesting attribute of the participants being observed.
So for physical events, I think most of the participants will be coming from nearby. So those people who've never participated in this exhibition, they were able to participate if it was held online. So that was the benefit of the online event. I wanted to ask you one question, Phio. So as an event organizer for physical events, I thought this was a huge burden, but like Doi-san was saying, it's difficult to have a good communication, and on that point, I thought it was just a matter of getting used to online communication. For virtual market, you have VR chat as a platform, and I think for the first time participants, it was difficult to communicate over VR chat, but if one was used to that, they have been doing that for some time now. So it wasn't difficult for them to do the communication. So I think there will be more people who are accustomed to the virtual event, and then the communication can be facilitated. And I think that's something that we can expect in the future. So based on your experience, Phio, what do you think about that? Well, I see your point. And a VCAT is just one catalyst. And I think a catalyst serves a huge role for the exhibitors. We are providing a deadline, so they will be motivated to create the contents. And for the visitors, for those who are accustomed to VR, they will be able to meet the recommended creators that they did not know about. And this is a three-dimensional space, and you can walk around. So it's like physical window shopping. So when you go around the stores, you happen to come across something that suits your taste. Sometimes that happens, right? Yes. But when you go to an e-commerce site like Amazon, you are looking for something in particular. But with these VR events, you can meet something by coincidence. So virtual market is a huge festival. A lot of companies participate. And some people may be motivated to start the VR chat to enjoy that opportunity. And in terms of communication, with a virtual market, basically, participants will be exhibiting their booth. So a booth will be the touch point, catering to the visitors. But the comic ticket has a slightly different concept. The fun of in this exhibition is the communication between the creator and the fans. So the fan may say, "Oh, can I have your new book?" And the creator will recognize that fan, and they would know the other fans coming to their booth nearby. So I wanted to recreate that with Comic VCAT. With Comic VCAT, VR chat and cluster and Styly is used as platforms. So people can participate through VR, or they can also participate through website and also from the smartphone as well. And the creators or the circles, let's say that from this time to this time, they can communicate that they will be on this particular platform, and that will be tweeted. And then at that hour, the fans will come see the creator. So it's communication that's very similar to what takes place at the physical Indies exhibition. So how was the response? We got really good response. So the location of the room of the creators, the fans would go there, and the creator is actually at the booth, and people will queue up to say hello, and there will be a person having a signboard saying this is the end of the line. So this was kind of like the fun element that we incorporated into that VR space. So if you can actually see that, you will see what's really happening. But with Komiki and the VCAT, I think we have a lot of videos that people have distributed. So if you got interested, please have a look at the archived videos. Some of them are on YouTube. It will be a very good referential point. Thank you. So I think we have 3 more slides to cover. So I'd like to talk about the future outlook and also do a wrap-up. Right now, I am at the bookstore. Oh, no, I am working for a bookstore for the Toranomaki for their digitalization initiative. And under COVID-19, there was one element of evolution for the India's exhibition. What that was that also people started to revisit what was that in this exhibition so that they can do it online. So as I have saying, with the event, the deadline will be created. So that was important. And also networking was important. Also there were a lot of discussions around those elements. And then a small exhibition which would attract about 100 creators. So that she can sell a lot of content in e-commerce. What they were doing was that normally with EC, not just for the India's contents, but for anything, the product will be sellable once it's being completed. So in these contents will be created by the creators, so they don't pay attention to deadline when it's on e-commerce. But at the particular online exhibition, if the creator were not able to send in their content 3 days before the event, they were not able to sell. And sometimes they also said that physically the sales will be available only from a certain hour to a certain hour. So the way these events were hosted were similar to how the physical events will be held, even though it was held online. So fans who supported that, and also the creators who liked that idea, came to that exhibition, and the exhibition was very active. Also, I've mentioned a lot of things like deadline, meeting the deadline, and those elements can be recreated even when the event was online. And with COVID-19, the online exhibition is evolving in that sense. And also, initially I thought that everything was going into online, but the physical events are also being resumed. On Monday, 23rd of November, Komikia will be held at Big Site. Normally, it would attract about 20,000 people. But this time, I think it's going to house about 10,000. Turanana, I think, is also participating. So it's almost like food and beverages. Also, they will do a sanitization, keep physical distances, not speak, wear masks. By taking those measures on a public basis, a few events have already been held and problems were not identified. So they're planning on that event, and Komike will come back in summer next year. So normally it's held in August, but due to the Tokyo 2020, it will be held in May. Comic will be using up the whole space of the venue, but the space will be limited to about 50%. And I think the participants will be about half of what it can house normally. And Mr. Doi, what about the future of the movie festivals? The time is limited, but can you make some comments?
Yes. Concurrently organizing online and offline, and I'm going through this difficulty, so I'm a little bit pessimistic about this. But next year and onward, whether the concurrent the event organizing online and offline, whether that is going to take root. Maybe the famous one, they will going to concurrently organize online events, because by having that, and they can optimize use of their name value, and attract many visitors. But if it's a smaller scale, the festivals, and no one will pay attention. So the small scale of film festival doesn't justify having concurrent the organization of online. So they only go for the physical offline. So some of them will opt to do so. So what is the purpose of organizing the film festival? Well, first of all, is to create network of people. So the fact of just being there and sharing time and space with the other people is also a great value. And so time, space, sharing is the significance of being part of this film festival is something that many people realize. And so the famous one, the film festivals, by having a concurrent online event, I think they could improve their presence even bigger. So that's how they're going to pursue going forward. Thank you. So it's about time for us to wrap up. So I wanted to wrap up, but I think I have covered all the points. So, well, as a moderator, if I may to summarize, so the real event is now coming back. Online is developing further. So it's not going to skew to one way or another, but I think the balance will be hit in a positive way between online and offline. Connected Inc. is also a concurrent event. And so archive will be stored, and the viewer can take a look at this event later on as well. So that's the positives of the having this kind of online-offline event. So maybe 30 seconds for each participant to say a few words of closing. Phio-san, Doi-san later. So first, Yamauchi-san, please. And so first, I'd like to start. So listening to all your inputs, what I felt is that, and it's something to do with the Kikuchi-san's opinion. Event, so the definition of event is so large, so it needs to narrow down further. So the communication, whether that is a one-way or two-way, a style of communication, whether that is a one-to-many or one-to-one or many-to-many. And so whether there's implicit understanding or explicit understanding in terms of communication. So the segmentation should be done when it comes to communication to decide whether that should go hybrid or offline only or online only. So that's the only way to be successful in organizing an event going forward. So what kind of event is viable? Well, I think there's a lot of brush-up is going to take place and exploration to take place because the event has to be attractive. So on the post-COVID era, there will be two polarization to happen. One with a lot of attractiveness and one not. So as Doi-san said, when it comes to online events, there are many benefits as well. The animation festival, and honestly, is the only one I attended when it comes to overseas. But this year, I can participate in any of them. So gaining knowledge, online event is quite useful. But on the other hand, meeting people, physically meeting people, is also important when it comes to participating in an event. So there has to be some ways to this. Online will not be the answer for that. So that there should be opportunity like that. And so that's what I'm feeling at the moment. So, Phio-san?
はい、そうですね。
Yes.
今年すごく
This year,
このコロナの影響もあって、
due to the COVID-19 impact,
ところがすごく取り沙汰される。
well, the virtual events been highlighted
これがじゃあ
quite a lot. So what will happen to these events in the near future? Well, my personal feeling is that organizing event in the virtual world, meaning that we have more options that we can select from.
なので、リアルのイベントでしかできないことが
So
たくさんあるんですね。
there's many things which can only happen in the real world. But I'm organizing this weekend.
最近はね、
Well,
もうすごい引きこもりになっちゃったんで。
well, I'm now socially withdrawn, so even if there is a real event, I won't be able to participate in such an event. But in the past, I enjoyed being part of the real physical event. So the fun of being there and sharing things together is also fun because the people live on communication. So communique is something that will last. It's not going to go away. But organizing event virtually or hybrid, online, offline. So I think we have now more options. So because of the advancement of technologies, and Doi-san said the difficulties of organizing this kind of hybrid event, but I'm sure that will be lessened in the future. So the virtual space is going to advance further. And regulations. Well, because the regulation in the real world will not be applicable to the virtual world. So once those regulations being advanced and improved, I think it makes it more easier to organize such event virtually. And so the people living in a physical world mainly, and like myself, I only live in the virtual world. For those who go between virtual and the real world, so the way you live and the way you organize events, I think we will have more options. Doi-san, what do you think? So due to the COVID-19 pandemic and events and the film festival, we came to realize what is the essence of that, what is the significance of that. And IMART that we conducted last year is also the case. So I think these offer us a good opportunities to come back and think about the significance of this. So IMART is the place where we recognize the change in society, and well, the event will think about what we'll need in the future, and so IMART, and we will have an online event next year as well. So I hope people will join us for that. Thank you. And so I'd like to wrap up, so please show the PowerPoint presentation. So with the support of everyone present, we'll be able to finish the pre-event for IMART. So next year, 2021, 26th, 27th of February, Akibukuro Hariba, IMART will be organized. Game, iPhone, iOS, such a global conference. Well, the country which organized is dominating the world. So IMART, when it comes to manga and anime, Japan is the dominant player. So we are going to have a global conference to exert that power. And so I would like to ask your support and cooperation from the relevant parties. The current funding was started today, so I hope you will support that effort as well. So this was the conference of IMART. Thank you very much. With this, I'd like to end the session. And thank you, Phio-san, Doi-san, for your participation. Thank you.